It has been a very busy month in my world. So busy that I haven't had nearly as much time to play this game as I would like. And frankly, bringing this show together, the September episode of Solo Q it wasn't forming in my head. And really, the introduction to the show was really, it was not materializing. And I know it's been super busy in my life and it just hasn't been there. And I decided I needed to do something about that. So I've traveled to Thule Madron, the highest point on the Isle of Dorn, to just take in all the sights, just sit here, listen to the music, look at the view, and just think. And here on the highest point on the Isle of Dorn, it's just me, the corpse of Chronolith, the rare that I had to kill again, so I could sit here peacefully. A tiny alabaster stone charger, the critter version of those moss-backed rams that you find down below on the plains. And the shadow of a dragon riding glyph that I've already captured. And as I sit down and take it all in, I'm just absolutely blown away by the view, by the landscape, by the open landscape below, just flowing open in every direction. It's gorgeous. And I was starting to lose myself when I was hit by a really stiff breeze coming in off the ocean. Of course, we're in the middle of the southern oceans of Azeroth. And that breeze brought the reality that it's no longer summer. It is definitely fall here, both in Azeroth and the real world. And it was downright cold, actually, like a chill. Even, just that leather armor to protect me, not enough. It's breezy up here and a bit cold. But then I see the view again and I think, oh my gosh, it's just gorgeous. So open. And then I just, forgetting why I was even there, I fall into this debate, this internal debate back and forth of what is getting more of my attention. The cold breeze, just the sharpness in the air, the cold, or that wide open landscape below me. The cold breeze or the open landscapes. The cold or the open? Cold, open. And suddenly I snapped out of it. Cold, open? What am I talking about? This is no way to start an episode. I really need to figure this out. You have entered the Solo Queue, a monthly podcast about adventuring alone in the world of Warcraft. Thanks for joining me. My name is Dave Gagne. Welcome to episode 14 of Solo Q, the September episode, if it can sneak it out before the end of the month. Hopefully, cross your fingers. Hopefully you're hearing this in September. Welcome back. It has been a really long time. It feels like a really long time since episode 13, since the August episode. The episode was put out after the early release of The War Within, but before the wide release, just before the wide release. So it's been a number of weeks. I think we're about 5 weeks, almost 5 weeks into The War Within. It's safe to say that a lot has happened and there's a lot to talk about. And with a monthly podcast, that can be kind of frustrating. That there's so much going on and things go by and I think, oh, that'd be great to talk about. But by the time we get to it, no one's going to remember that. I should publish more often, you say. Well, oh boy, my life has been so crazy busy the past month or so, the past 7 weeks, really. Yeah, I wish. I feel like a monthly podcast gives me enough time to forget everything that I'm doing and really to lose, almost all confidence in doing this. So yeah, a month is a long time, but right now there's no chance that I'm going to get a little bit more, to get more episodes out more quickly. I have to both apologize and give credit to somebody about the intro that I just recorded for you. It was inspired by my friends at the Thrall's Balls podcast, Wooly and Gershom, and if you've ever listened to their show, you'll notice that they open most episodes with a cold open, meaning they just kind of jump right in. That, I don't know, I felt out of practice. And normally those introductions, they come out of the ether, they wander into my brain, something happens. And this month, I was spending so little time in the game and so little time, then thinking about this show that I just, nothing was coming to mind. And somehow, I don't know where that little idea came from, the idea of a cold open and the world's worst pun dragged out over many, many minutes. So I apologize for the pun. Fortunately, that's a joke I can only make once. So check, that one's passed. If you enjoyed it, great. I enjoyed it, so, it just takes one more person. Let me know if you're that one person, and I will be satisfied. It is the bitter end of September, and normally I try and get these episodes out around the 21st of the month, but yeah, real life things on top of my already just very busy life just kind of climbed into the way last weekend, and now it is the 29th of September. Tomorrow is the 30th of September. I'm hoping, like I said, this gets into your hands in September. We will see. But I only have a couple more weeks of very busy life and things will start to slow down a little bit. So soon I will turn my attention to our next interview show. I'm not sure when that will be, but hoping to start setting that back up again soon. And yeah, I'm hoping to just play more World of Warcraft. It has been a struggle. It has been a real struggle. It was not that long ago that I hit 80. So we'll talk about that later in the episode. I gotta say, as this busy month has been going by, and I was kind of feeling just behind and left out, and not left out but there's an energy at the beginning of an expansion that doesn't last forever. People get through that campaign, they get to where they want to be, and they, sort of move into whatever is next for them, which in this game is many things. Some people okay, let's do Mythic Plus all the time, or let's gear up however we need to then get into raiding, or they're doing an auction house, or they're PvPing, or they're just playing another game because they'll be back when there's another patch. There's a lot of ways to do it, but you lose that wave of momentum, that wave of excitement from the launch. And I played hard for a little bit right at the early release. I got the episode out, and then my time just dried up, and I think I got to level 74 as of the last episode, and then I think it was only like 2 weeks ago, week and a half ago, that I hit 80. I have finished the campaign. I have not finished the max level campaign, but I have a lot of things left to do, but I have experienced a lot of the game, and so we will talk about that. But as I was saying, as I was sort of in the depths of all of that in the middle of the month, out of nowhere, I got an email. I got an email from new listener Josh, who reached out just to say, hey, found your podcast. Was actually hooked before the end of episode 1. As a fellow solo player, he's really excited to hear the rest. And then I emailed him back and thanked him profusely for the kind words. As I've said before, it's nice to hear something from the other end of things. And we traded a couple emails, and yeah, it's been great kind of listening to him, reading about his experience going through all these episodes. And as much as it feels like this has been I have a mountain of content behind me, because it's been almost a year. It'll be a year coming up in, I guess in December officially. But, 13 episodes at a little over an hour each. That's not exactly a lot of content if you put your nose to the grindstone and you're listening, kind of plowing through that. So it was neat to hear him kind of experience the months and him appreciating some of the things I've done through the year. The learning to play WoW now episodes. He appreciated all the information in there. Frankly, he was sounding like the coolest guy in the world, and eventually I figured out why, because he's a fellow night elf feral druid main. So, all of it unsurprising to me. He's playing World of Warcraft correctly. It's great. But I did want to give a big shout out to Josh for reaching out. It really, honestly, feels good in my heart to hear what he had to say about the show and the content. And I'm glad he's appreciating it. I hope you're appreciating it wherever you are, whoever you are. And if you are, hey, I usually say this for the end of the show, but I think famously, I'm the only person that listens to the end of the entire podcast, of any podcast. And so let me mention that if you've got feedback, or if you want to say nice things or suggest things, you can hit me up on email at soloquewow, SOLOQUEUEWOW @gmail.com. The same handle on all the socials, soloquewow. Twitter, as much as I cannot stand that place, that is a place where other content creators and fans are hanging out, so I do check Twitter pretty commonly. If you hit me up on Facebook or Instagram, I will get those messages as well. Maybe Threads, maybe Blue Sky, checking those less often, but my phone will tell me if you light me up over there. So reach out, let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you think of the show. The Raid of the Month segment that's going to be coming up later in the show. That was a suggestion by a listener that I really liked, and it fit with the show. So, hey, if you have solo content, solo topics that you want to hear about, let me know. All right. Well, what's coming in this episode? It really is focused on the War Within for sure. We're going to list some news, some upcoming events, just kind of breeze through a few things, give you a preview of what's to come. And then I just want to dive into my thoughts on the War Within. Most of it is very positive. I do have a few things that, I don't know. They're things to talk about, think about. They're not criticisms as much as, hey, nothing's perfect. And as I said, at the end we'll have a Raid of the Month that is a little Xal'atath inspired. I wanted to maybe dig into Xal'atath a little bit more, go back to a raid that I had never done, and it didn't go quite as well as I was hoping, so, we'll talk about that. But first, it has been Such a long month, and I definitely need to get a drink. And at this time of year, what better place to go and get a drink than... Yeah, the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj. Let's go to Brewfest. Well, so here we are at Brewfest, the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj City, hanging out, drinking some Thunder 45s, and just enjoying life. Jump into the Corn Dire Brew little dungeony thing to see if I can't get one of those mounts. Who knows? Haven't had a lot of time to do that this week, but it's okay. Got another week. And why don't we jump into the news?
You bring news?
What news from the mainland?
Have you any news?
I'll try and do this as quick as possible. First thing on the news list is probably the least impactful to me, and that is the Race for World First. The Race to World First has come to an end, with Team Liquid getting the first kill of Queen Ansarek on Mythic difficulty in Narubar Palace, of course the Season 1 raid. And there you go. So now Blizz can nerf the heck out of the Mythic difficulty so that everyone else gets a chance, and it doesn't really mean anything. That's just my opinion. I'm sorry. For the rest of us, of course, the full raid is open at all difficulties. Raid Finder, which requires a minimum item level of 567, normal, heroic, and of course Mythic. And also Story Mode, which opened up just a couple weeks ago. How do you get into Story Mode? I just want to mention real quick that to get into Story Mode, which is the streamlined, very easy version of the dungeon where you can group as a solo or I believe up to 10 characters. And you go through a little bit of the story, a pared down version of Queen Ansarek, the final boss, and that is it. It is designed to fill you in on some of the story. It is not going to get you all of the details. But to unlock Story Mode, you do have to do a few things. You have to be level 80 on a character, and you have to finish the first chapter of the War Within max level campaign. So after you finish the normal campaign quest, you hit level 80, there is another 5 chapters of campaign at max level. You have to finish the first one. The first chapter is called Against the Current, and once you have done that, you are eligible to pick up that first quest, and to do that, you're going to have to head to the Coreway in Dornegal, and just outside of what is the Horde Embassy, you're going to notice the little spidery guy, Webster, and he's going to get you that first Story Mode quest. Follow that quest chain, and then you're going to be all set getting into that Story Mode. I have not done it yet. I look forward to doing it. That said, I still look forward to #follower raids. Onwards. If you need to get to max level story campaign, well, how do you do that? Well, there's 2 requisites for that. You have to hit level 80, and you have to have Renown rank 4 for all factions, all 4 factions. So there's a couple, ways to trip up on this. If you are someone who just hammers through the campaign quest, you get to the end, yeah, you're going to have the Renown just from doing the normal questing in the campaign, but you're not going to be level 80. So you got to get to level 80. And likewise, if you hit level 80 and you think, okay, I'm max level, let me do the rest of the campaign, you got to make sure that you actually finish first campaign and get to Renown 4 on all 4 factions. So make sure you get to those 2 prerequisites, and then you can hop into Story Mode. Okay, I'm going to mention this one real quick, and that is delves and bountiful delves and coffer keys. And the fact that when you do a bountiful delve, it's like an accelerated delve, and at the end there are bountiful treasure chest things, but you need a restored coffer key to get that. There are some videos out. There's, you can search around. You will find things online. I found a good video from Mr. GM that I'm going to link in the show notes that lists all the sources for these restored coffer keys. You do get a couple. I think you get one through each of the renowned tracks for each of the 4. That's a one-time thing. You can do the World Soul Memory event. If you find one of these events, you can hop in there and just kill lots of things. You're going to collect shards, and you can turn 100 shards into a coffer key, and that is another way to get those coffer keys. So bountiful delves show up, but you do need to have those keys. You can also buy them from a vendor in the Delve area. Sir Finley Murgleton will sell them to you. I forget exactly what you need, but there's a couple sources. Check out the video. That's how you get to those bountiful delves and all the sweet, sweet treasure in there. It's probably a good moment to mention that there is a new event after reset on October 1st, and that is the Delves bonus event. It runs for the whole week from, once we come out of maintenance October 1st to October 8th. And it is essentially like the Brawl, weekly Brawl, or the World Quest event. This is the Delves bonus event, and it's going to offer increased rewards for each delve that you do. So, hey, this is a great week to hop in there and get some delves done. Okay, the really big event, the really big thing in the news, of course, is that patch 11.0.5 is on the PTR. It is coming. It is mostly the 20th anniversary celebration stuff, but there is a couple things that I'll mention first that are not related. Of course, there's going to be class tuning and, various, tweaking of the knobs and everything. Drakthyr also at this point are getting new classes. So if you're a Drakthyr, previously you've only been able to be an evoker. Now they are going to get the warrior class along with hunter, rogue, mage, priest, and warlock. So if you are starting a new Drakthyr or got one hanging out and you want to kind of class change them, now's the time. You're going to have some added benefits. And a second character-specific race-related change. I saw this on Twitter the other day, and I snapped a screenshot of it and threw it in my notes so I could mention it. Dark Iron Dwarves are... Well, they have one of the cooler racial benefits, and that is the Mole Machine, which is kind of like a mage portal to various places, and it is announced that in 11.0.5, the Mole Machine is going to have some new exits. They're going to be added for zones in Kultiris, Zandalar, Dragonflight, and Shadowland. So essentially, the last, 3 expansions, BFA, Dragonflight, Shadowlands, all going to have some Mole Machine exits added.
If you want to impress me on a date, don't try to pick me up in a Mole Machine.
So, hey, if you are a solo player who doesn't like to... Oh, I guess you could play a Dark Iron Mage. There you go. You'd have portals. You'd have Mole Machine exits. If you are someone sending a character out and to do some raid, farming or just scouring the land for stuff, this may be a great way to get around. Hop into your Dark Iron Mole Machine, do a mage portal. Boy, I have a Dark Iron Mage somewhere on one of my servers, so that's kind of exciting. But the bulk of this, of course, is the 20th anniversary celebration. And if you thought the annual anniversary celebrations were big, well, yeah, hold my thunder 45, because this one's huge. There's so much going on. There is a Wowhead post, of course, and you should check it out. It's called The War Within Patch 11.0.5 Overview, 20th Anniversary Event, and it just goes through everything. I'm going to do it really briefly. There is a video there you could watch. There's a new raid coming. It's like a mini sort of raid, 10-15 players. centered in Blackrock depths, so very themed around, hey, more Dark Irons, go figure. There's a new world event, revisiting the Gates of Ahn'Qiraj, the famous Ahn'Qiraj gates. You're going back to it, essentially back in time with Chromie, and this time things are going a little weird, and you've got to go and defeat lots of stuff. Get in there. You can use Group Finder to get in there, but you do have to be level 15. There are new Caverns of Time anniversary events. There's one called Fashion Frenzy. I have no idea how it's different from Trial of Style. It even says, almost like Trial of Style. You're dressing up and your fellow players are voting on who's best. Lore Walker Cho is going to be back to reenact some famous scenes from the past in Azeroth, so that will be available. Mount Mania, which kind of looks like Trial of Style for mounts. Pet Corner, which kind of looks like Trial of Style for pets. I'm not sure. We're going to have to see what these things look like. There's all sorts of new items, new transmogs. The Korrak's Revenge PvP event, of course, is going on. There are the world bosses that make their return to Teneris, including a couple new ones. They're adding Shaw of Anger and Arcaven the Stone Watcher to the world bosses, and you do, again, need to be level 15 in order to hop in there and participate with those. Ooh, new currency, the Bronze Celebration tokens. That's what you're going to be collecting, doing all these activities. You buy all the various things, and I've heard some, people commenting who are doing the testing on the PTR, which I have no interest in doing, that the purchase rates are pretty low and the currency kind of shows up somewhat readily, and it feels like Blizz wants you to get all the things. So that's kind of nice. I mean, this is a massive celebration. It should be a celebration. There are some cool 30th anniversary, of course, of Warcraft, not World of Warcraft, but Warcraft itself. Some transmog for that. Essentially, these back pieces, they look like, well, some of them are shields. I guess they're all shields. They are celebrating the 4 original game factions in Warcraft: the Human Kingdom of Lordaeron, the Orcish Horde, the Night Elves of Kalimdor, which looks pretty sweet, and the Undead Scourge. And actually, to be honest, they all look pretty awesome. That Lordaeron shield looks great. The Orc shield looks pretty rad. So check it out. There are some new toys. There are new titles. There are new pets. And of course, a lot of people buzz about the kind of upscaled Tier 2 armor sets, including for the classes that didn't even exist when Tier 2 originally came out many, many moons ago. There's going to be some time walking through classic dungeons. There is just a ton of stuff coming in this patch. I can keep going. There's more. There's still more. Oh, I finally got to the comments. Okay. So now, maybe the best part is normally anniversary event opens up mid-November, November 19th, 14th, somewhere in there. Yeah, not this year. Apparently, we are opening up October 22nd. So just 3 weeks from now, October 22nd, and it is going to run until January 4th. That is like 2.5 months of anniversary stuff. That's going to be an awful lot of trivia questions if I'm doing that every day. I do like doing the trivia, but oh man, that might be a lot. Let's see. Anything else to mention? They did mention that the 15th anniversary mount, the Obsidian Worldbreaker, is going to be available, and in case you missed it the first time. And I'm one of those people that missed it. I don't actually know how. I remember thinking, oh, I got to go do that. Got to go get that mount, which was a automatic drop, if I remember right. And I just never did. And then I remember thinking, oh, crap, that's gone. So I'm one of those people. I will be going, and I cannot believe it's been 5 years. I would have said, oh, yeah, that was a couple of years ago, maybe. So the Obsidian World Breaker, of course, kind of based off of Deathwing. Go out and get it. I think you can buy it. I think it's going to be on a vendor, if I remember correctly. All right, a couple more news items unrelated to that. I do want to mention just real quickly that, just a reminder, if you get to 80 on a second class, not the same class as your first character, but if you do a second character of a different class, you get that character to 80, you are awarded with a toy, and it is the Warband Map to Everywhere All at Once toy. That toy, when you use it on a character, it'll essentially show that character all of the explored areas that your warband has found. So every area that any of your characters has found gets compiled and now is visible on the map to that character as well. It's by character, so if you want to just have somebody explore, you don't have to use it. That's great. One downside of using this is you get a fair amount of XP by running around the world, and if you're kind of zoned into the right level zone, you're going to get a fair amount of XP just by exploring the world, and this will not do that. This will take that away, essentially. But maybe something that you want to shoot for. Another news item, the Grizzly Hills Packmaster mount is available in the store for $20, and I usually do not pay any attention to the Blizzard store. I kind of think I give Blizz enough money between this time buying the big bad collector's edition and the monthly sub and all that, and so rarely is something come across that I'm like, oh yeah. I think I always buy the last couple of years they've done a Ukraine mount or pet or something, and I'm happy to contribute to that. This one is just, it's not a fundraiser. It is a mount. It is a mount that has a repair vendor and a transmogrifier. And if that sounds familiar, then yes, most of us already have it. We dropped our 120,000 gold on the Grand Expedition Yak, which I can use anywhere. So what's the point? Why am I actually thinking about clicking that blue buy now button for $20 for something that gives me no new functionality? I like it. And isn't that the point of these cosmetics? I kind of like it. I like it because it is a smaller mount. And, the Yak is great. You got the Grummels on the back that are doing the stuff for you. But it is so big. I hate how big it is. I hate how big everyone else's is. And I saw one in game the other day, Grizzly Hills Packmaster, and I was like, oh, that's just a bear looking like it came out of the Grizzly Hills zone. Looks fantastic. I think I might like it. Every time you hop off that mountain, fly away, you get two angry Grummels left behind who kind of sneer at you. So the Packmaster just has kind of two big pouches on the sides, and that's where the vendors are. It's not actual humanoid things riding around on you. So I don't know. I know it's $20. I might treat myself. I kind of think it's good. Last couple things. Upcoming holidays. Of course, Hallows Eve is just before us at the end of the month. October 25th, Hallows Eve will begin and run to November 8th. And I got to tell you, this year, that lines up with when I'm not going to be so busy in real life. And this might be the year that I hop in there and go like heck to get the Headless Horseman mount. We'll see. Other holidays. Before that, the Great Gnomeregan race kicks off October 12th, Saturday. It's a one-day event, so get your gnome out to New Tinkertown in Dunmoreau, and I don't know, I think you get some crazy pink hair, strip off your armor and weapons, and just hoof it on down to Booty Bay in this annual little event. If you've done it before, I don't know that there's any awesome reason to do it again unless you like it. And if you like it, why the heck not? And of course, Brewfest. Brewfest running until October 6th, so you still got a few more days, hopefully when this podcast gets out, to get to the Gates of Ironforge for the Alliance or to Orgrimmar for the Horde. Just my thing. And isn't this more of a Dwarf Alliance beer drinking holiday? Doesn't that sort of theme better than... I don't know. I think I've gone to Orgrimmar once in these like 9 or whatever years, 10 years. And I barely even remember it. It just seems like such a inherently dwarvy thing to do. So I'm gonna be right here down by the base of Ironforge, hanging out, chasing some pink Alex, putting on those goggles, drinking a couple more Thunder 45s. But it's enough drinking for now. We've got a show to finish, so let's get back to Khazalgar, and I'm gonna fill you in on what I think of this new expansion so far.
Let's get down to business.
Okay, we're back in Khazalgar, and we're down in Hollowfell because why wouldn't you want to be in Hollowfell? This is an amazing zone visually and functionally. This crystal that is hanging out of the ceiling of what feels like a very normal zone, but then we realize, nope, it is just a massive underground zone. The hallmark of this expansion so far, and I know people have said it in the past, and it seems to be just more true every time, that the main character in World of Warcraft really is the world itself. Never mind the world's soul that we're kind of chasing, but man, these zones keep getting better and better and better, and more creative and more expansive. And so this part of the show, I originally had 2 topics I wanted to get to, and I'm going to save the second one for its own episode. Probably punt it to the next episode. And really here, I just want to talk about my thoughts on the War Within, my progress, how things have gone, what I've thought about it, questions I've had, thoughts I've had. And yeah, let's just dive in. Visually, let's just start with that. Visually, these zones have been stunning, and it feels like, and maybe this is appropriate, but you would think there might be a ceiling for this. It feels like every single expansion, they just get better and better. And this is an art style that is not necessarily, it's not by any stretch photorealistic. It's not cutting edge graphics. It's not what some other games try to do. And you could assume that because they don't push those limits, that there would be a limit that Warcraft itself would hit. And yet visually, it just does keep getting better. Now, obviously, the quality does rise. Just because they're not cutting edge doesn't mean they don't want to be better than 2 years ago. But even while maintaining that art style, that very Warcraft feel, they continue to just add details and add depth and add, feeling to things alongside just new ideas, like the idea of this fake sun here in in Hallowfell, this fake sun in Hallowfell, kind of genius. And the fact that it then gets turned by the void every half hour, or for a half hour every so often, great theming. The people that inhabit, the races that inhabit these zones they feel like they live there, as opposed to I just wandered onto a random beach in Kalimdor, and there are, 100 murlocs spaced perfectly throughout the place, so that I can't possibly walk through there. But none of them are doing anything. They're just standing on a beach, waiting for someone to come around. And yes, we're a long way from that design era, but the people, the races, the characters, the NPCs we find, they inhabit these zones. These zones are built to house them, not just to merely have sacks of hit points and loot running around. So it really is engaging. If you are someone who stops to be engaged and appreciates that, it's there for you. If you're sprinting through the story and the campaign to get to the raiding, and doing the raiding to get to the gearing, and gearing to get to more raiding, like that's its own game, and you're missing a lot of hard work. But man, slow down, take a look, fly to the highest peak. There are some just fascinating views that we've never seen before. So stunning is the word I'll keep using. These zones feel more organic than in the past. Again, getting back to like old school design, like, yep, here's a mountain range that definitely doesn't just divide this zone from the next one. The hills, the mountains, the things are there for a purpose that exists in that world, not just in our world, or just exists in the code to make things easier. I think because of that, sometimes the connections from one of the zones to the other can be a little bit confusing. I know, obviously as you play through, you go to a zone, you play through it, you explore it, and then you are kind of shepherded into the next zone through some quests, and then you do that, and now you're in the next zone, you do that. Once you're done and you need to move about the place back and forth, I remember trying to get from the Ringing Deeps or from Hallowfell back into the Ringing Deeps, or vice versa. Like, it was a little bit tricky. So that's actually a good thing. It's not just this super obvious, hey, here's a giant gate that no one ever uses. That is definitely the separator between one thing and another. It's more organic. It's more, it's more seamless, and seamless, I guess, could cause a little bit of confusion. At least it did for me. Related to the visuals, the music, and it should not surprise you, but I'm a big fan of the music. Of course, #don't play muted. That is not, that's not just a thing. The music in WoW has always been such an additional level, additional layer, additional definition of every zone. And even more so now that they are, I feel like I don't know a lot about the composing of the music. I haven't gotten into the details of that, but where so many old world zones are combinations of pieces of music that you kind of spread out through the zone, like Plains #1 or Forest Nighttime 7, or all of those. You can kind of pull from different places and craft some of those old school zones, and they still sound, and they've got some original stuff, but the feeling is there, and it's definitely nostalgic. Now these zones are much more specifically themed with the music, uniquely themed, and it really just continues to next level the ambiance of all of this. I love it. I mean, I am someone who will go to some of the various YouTube channels of WoW music, people who grab those compositions and craft them into an hour-long video. I will sit there, play that as background while I try and do real-life stuff. So it is, again, excellent as usual, the diversity in each zone. One of the things I just noticed today, I went back to do a world quest in Dornegal where the city crashed, and you hear just the wisps of Dalaran music playing in the area of the crash, but it's also mingled with other sad music. It really was touching. They're doing a world quest to pick up stuffed animals, and the first sign that something was odd was, I think it was Kael'thas Sunreaver, who was the NPC who kind of auto gives you the world quest and describes it as you float into the area. And he was like sad. he was dour when he was giving this quest, like almost broken up. I'm like, whoa, wait, what? Like, it immediately grabbed my attention. Like, this is not just some random world quest. Except it was, it was, hey, go collect 8 things and turn them in. That's the world quest. Not hard. Like so many other world quests, except go get 8 stuffed animals. And they didn't even say stuffed animals. They said, some of the citizens of, was how they put it? Some of the citizens of Dalaran still haven't been collected. Go collect them. And he's broken up, and you realize, oh, he's talking about kids' toys from the crash. And that's when I noticed that music. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm in Dalaran, but it's not right. And all of it masterfully pulled together to pull at your heartstrings, to pull at your emotions. So again, if you're not playing with the sound on, and you're just like, yeah, grab 8 things, got it. Now I've got my, whatever. I think I got a cloak for that, or pants or something. And they wasn't even an upgrade. I just did it because I like, oh, it's at the Dalaran side. I should do that. You should always do all the world quests at least once, even if the benefit's not really there. And that one I'm super glad I did, because it literally was touching. I don't remember the last time I was touched a world quest. It was fascinating. Spoilers if you didn't know that the city of Dalaran had crashed. Sorry. Should have said that. Let's see. What else should we say about this expansion? The story, of course, is, at the heart of all of this, especially before people got into the raid, before people got into their in-game loops and whatever they do. That story is the thing that everyone at least has to go through once. Some people might feel like that's a burden, but I'm not sure many of those people will listen to this podcast. If you are, I think that's great. Please keep subscribing, and feel free to join the Patreon. That'd be great. I take back everything I said about you. But, I've said this many times. I love the story. I love taking it in. And oddly enough, as a history teacher, you might think that I would be one of the lore-heavy kind of nerd people. And frankly, I'm not. I don't remember enough of it. I can't keep it all in my head. And I don't go crazy studying it outside of the game. I'm trying to slowly get through as many of the old books as I can, but, slowly is the operative word. And it's all out of time. It's all out of joint. So I really take a passive appreciation to it. I love being in the story. I'm trying to do as much of it in sort of story order as I can, just so it stays making sense. And that is where probably my first kind of, not criticism, but definitely an issue worth exploring, where the first thing that, kind of controversial part that I have to say about this is first of all, I don't have an answer for this, and that is the connection between the story and the math. We're here for, regardless of whether you're here for the story or not, you are here to get to level 80. You are here to get to the next thing and get the better weapons and get the better whatever. that's all math. And the math is what the math is. It is the necessary kind of evil to video games, right? You can't just have real life. You can't just have, yes, play this game, you'll learn stuff, you'll occasionally get weapons and better things, and when you die, you die. And there's no, you'll have a birthday every now and then. No one wants to play that game, because we're all playing that game. Like, yay, you turned 50, good job. I don't know, like the math gives us all the checkpoints of, hey, I just hit level 71, I'm on my way. Hey, level 75, I'm halfway. Except, of course, it's arbitrary, and it's a little weird. So the issue I had, and this refers back to a question I asked before I was playing, how to go about it, because it was, and I can ask you, how did you go about leveling, and why is experience points and leveling so wonky? I think I heard pretty quickly, and I think I may have mentioned this in the last episode, I just don't remember. If you stuck to the campaign quests and only did that, then you would finish your 4th zone at level 76. And again, you'd be 4 levels shy of max level. You could not just, and I think I even heard people complaining about this. Well, I can't just go to the end game because now I gotta go do other quests, side quests, whatever. And again, play however you want. I don't care. It doesn't hurt me. Boy, it just seems strange. But if you are here to just, play the math game of eye level and boss hit points and all of that, that's great. That's fine. It just seems like you're missing a lot of the interesting stuff that goes into the game. But, okay. So when I started leveling, I fully intended to do everything in the zone before moving on. And I knew that, I heard, oh, you're gonna out level it. You're gonna get to 80 too fast, whatever. And I didn't really care because I kind of wanted to get the story and I wanted to get those side quests as I was hearing those stories. And I started this way. And I even got advice. Somebody reached out and said, whoa, man, I don't know. I don't think you should do that. I think you should, stick to the campaign, get to 80, doing some things and maybe some dungeons and then go back. And you're going to kind of regret slowing yourself down. And that is what I did. In the Isle of Dorn, in the very first zone, I did everything. In fact, I was really grumpy because I could not find, I can't remember if it's 1 quest line or 2 quest lines, and I had to look it up. I'm like, I have no more quests. I've done the entire zone. I don't know what you want me to do. How can I not get Lore Master? And I had to look it up, and of course, those 2 are max level quest lines. So after you've finished the campaign, you come back, obviously, to Dornegal, and then there's more questing to do that becomes available once, you've hit a certain place. So, okay, that makes sense. But I did every campaign quest. I did every side quest, local quest, whatever you want to call them. I did the Delves, 1 each. I did the Follower Dungeon. I couldn't do the other dungeon because it was level 80, if I remember right. Cindermead Brewery. Too many Thunder 45s at Brewfest, sorry. But I did everything in the zone, and I was level 77 before I went to zone number 2. Before I went down to the Ringing Depths, I was level 77, and I thought, oh boy. And so naturally, actually, the game put some brakes on me. When I was in Ringing Deeps, I noticed my XP had slowed way down. I was like, wait, why am I only getting, I think it went from like 11,000 to 7,000 XP per quest. And then it would change a little bit, and then I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, no, I'm just out leveling everything in this zone, because the zone maxed out at 75 and I entered the zone at 77. So everything's already green. Like, it's not giving me full, yellow, or at best maybe green. So I'm not getting, which is fine, because again, the numbers are arbitrary. I'm not playing necessarily for the numbers. I'm playing to get to the end of the story. So I did have to change. I stopped doing every side quest because basically I didn't have enough time personally. Like, in my life, I was not going to be able to do every single quest and still get to the end of the game, the level 80 in a meaningful time period. And it's true. I still have a lot of side quests to go back and do in those 3 zones. I did some. I kept moving. I think I got to 80 in, now I don't remember. I think it was Hallow. I think I kind of just did the bare minimum in Ringing Deeps, went on to Hallow pretty quickly, turned 80 in there. And then after that, I had to go through basically 2 full zones at level 80. So the question is, and it's not really feedback or criticism, it really is a question, how to space out experience points better, how to get that campaign questing and the experience and the leveling to match up. And is it that side quests don't offer experience? And I don't think that's a good thing, because the next time I go through there, I may not do the campaign. I may just do side quests, and I want my alts to experience the side quests. So I don't know. Does the putting on the brakes help? If I need to get through the campaign quests anyway. But then again, how do you differentiate between somebody who does the entire zone and gets to level 77 and somebody who just never touches a side quest, a local quest? Should you hop onto that treadmill of campaign quests, which are, very linear, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And by the way, I thought the story quests were great. I thought the story they told linearly was fantastic. Should you get onto that treadmill and just get to 80 at the end, and the side quests don't matter, or you don't need them, or they will only speed you up? I don't know. I don't really know. Or should you just get 2.5, essentially, we break it up evenly, 2.5 levels per zone. You get to the end of the zone, and no matter what you've done, you're 2.5 levels up. Or, 2 levels up, and then at the end there's a finishing quest line, something that gets you the rest of the way to 80. I don't know. And ultimately, does it matter? Maybe we're making too much of it. What does it really matter? I'm not sure there's a better solution. Like, I guess I don't want the thing I just mentioned. I don't want this to turn into one of those on rails amusement park rides that give you the impression that you're steering and whatever, but really you're not. It's just riding you along, and you just do the thing, and there's no real way to get off that ride. Campaign questing being how it is now, it gets you to 76, and you've got to do some sides, some dungeons, some bonus areas. The bonus event areas, those quickly become useless because you don't need them. I mean, I didn't need any. I did the ones in Dorne because they were there, and once I got into the rest of the zones, if I wandered into one, great, but I didn't seek them out because I didn't need them, because you don't need any of them. So what role do they have? And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if it matters what the answer is. Maybe all of it being there provides enough flexibility for everybody to do their own thing. I don't know. Did I like my decision? Yes. No. I guess that's maybe the part of this that bugs me is I don't feel content with how I went about it. I would have rather have done Isle of Dorn, that method 4 times. Get into the zone, do everything, hear all of those side stories, meet all those unimportant side NPCs who do not stand in my way of being a Mythic World First Raider. But they do add depth to the story. They do add depth to that world. They are, they have touching stories that remind us about life and our own lives. And, I don't know. That has value to me, the way I play. I think it has value to a lot of people, the way they play. I guess the intrinsic value of just getting in there and doing it and experiencing it should be the value to you, not... Oh, I need to get this to 80. Yep, click. Yep, stop telling me your story, old man, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And there is a danger of that. Even if you do play like me and you do enjoy the stories, the danger is kind of on both ends. One, and this is where I am right now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to have forgotten some of the main questing that goes along with those side quests, and I'm not going to make those connections in my head, and it's not going to feel as fulfilling, and so I might lose interest there. And the other end of it, which I'm also at, but in this way, this is the dragonflight problem that I have, is I need to go back and do a bunch of questing to get Lore Master, because I do want Lore Master. And why do I want Lore Master? Yes, part of it is the pride of saying, I've done all the quests in the game. Like, there is something to that. And I can tell you, in the reality of that, you get in there and you're like, oh, yeah, this story. Oh, that was cool. Okay, next story. Oh, that was cool too. Okay. And at some point you're like, oh my God, so many stories. Can I just get to the end? And maybe that's me doing it wrong. Maybe that's me not having enough focus. Maybe that's me who should stop and then come back later. But that's the thing. Like, I kind of don't want to come back later. I want to do it all together. And I think that's really hard. And I guess, wow, what a problem. There's too many things to do in the game. That's a problem. And I don't want that to sound like a complaint. I think it's hard to manage. And I know that somewhere in the future, there is an episode devoted to why we play this game, what the motivations are, what the pitfalls to some of those motivations are. And this gets into that. Like, why do I need Lore Master? Why do I need all of those stories all at once? Why? I don't know. And is it Blizzard's fault? Other people might start with, here's how it's Blizzard's fault, and here's the thing. I don't want to start there. I want it to feel the way I want it to feel. So, if that makes any sense. There's another aspect of the game that, of my gameplay that I want to mention, and I don't know if I'm being obstinate or contradictory, or if I am, who I am even doing that for, which I guess now now that I'm telling you about it, I could say, or one could say I'm doing it for the podcast, but I don't know that that's true. As mentioned before, I'm not a big fan of dragon flying, whatever. See, I don't like it, and I don't remember the name. What are we doing? Dynamic? It's not dynamic flying. It's not street fighting. It's sky flying, skywriting, skywriting, because it sounds like skywriting. That's how I have to remember it. I don't love skywriting. And the other problem I had was when I was trying to jump into the game really quick and play a little bit because I only had a little time, I was doing so on my laptop. And on my laptop, I'm usually, lately, I've been using one of those funny rollerball thumb mouse things that the mouse doesn't move and the rollerball thing does. That is not designed for sky flying writing. It's terrible for that. It is hard to control. If I'm doing basic flying, it's not bad. But if I'm trying to be precise or if I'm, using it all the time, tight spaces, it is near impossible. And that made me hate skywriting. And I still do not understand why they would put steady flying behind a giant grind. I don't understand. I was tempted, I did not do it, but I was tempted to just literally fly around all 4 zones, explore everything, and then come back and start doing normal flying. But I didn't because I didn't want to spoil the zones and the feelings. And you only enter Hallow once for the first time. So I didn't do it. And so my answer was, I rode my ground mount all over the Isle of Dorn and as much as I could in all the other zones. I, put a ground mount on my mount, shortcut button that I use. And yeah, that's what it was. I was walking everywhere. The other part of this too, and it's a little bit of an RP thing that I've stumbled into, is my druid, she's getting tired of spending her life in druid forms, and she wanted to just be out in the world as a night elf. And so where I would normally run around in travel form, stag form, that's not really possible or it's not easy in a world of flying. In ground mount areas only, it's easy, of course, but in a place where you can have flying mounts, it defaults to flying mount. So in other places where I would normally hop into cat form and do the little zippy cat thing and run fast, wasn't even doing that. I was walking around, running around in night elf form. And when I had to fight, I would do a thing, and then I'd get out of cat form, hop onto a night saber mount, and ride that around. Very different, and basically giving up the big reason to play druid, and that is, of course, instant mount, instant flying, except it was instant sky riding flying, and I did not want to do that. So yeah, that took away some of my enjoyment, but it also changed how I played, and I enjoyed that. So in the midst of trying to play really quickly, here I am literally walking or running in night elf form, that little jog from place to place. If I had a long way to go, sure, I'll mount up on my ground mount and explore everything. And it was an interesting way of slowing down everything, and I enjoyed that. So I got all of that RP kind of headcanon whatever stuff from that silly restriction on steady flight and locking it behind the Pathfinder, which, don't get me wrong, the Pathfinder was easier than any other Pathfinder ever. It just required me to get through all 4 zones before I could use the flying mode that I wanted. And again, I said this before, I'm not someone with any, visual impairments or disabilities or, dexterity issues, other than I'm using the wrong mouse for this. But even that was sort of like giving me a little bit of a look into what that might be for some other people. And that's horrible. That's horrible. The penalty is it's slow. Give us steady flight. It's slow. It's fine. Put the sexy skywriting thing behind the earning of that and the grind, but it's not how it was. So that's a bit of a criticism, and it still is. And and now being on the other side of it, yes, I think I made the most of it in a role-playing sense. but I shouldn't have to. Like, I don't see the benefit of having had to play that way. I don't understand the decision to continue to persist with that. So I hope in future patches and definitely in future expansions, they change that and find a way to, offer all the flying. I don't care if if you're going to offer some flying, then just offer all of it. I don't think they should offer any. I think we should all be running ground mounts in new places, but that is a super unpopular opinion, and I get that. I understand that that's an unpopular opinion, and I bow to it. I don't think I should be right. I think, for me, I think we should always have to do ground mount, but that's not a hill I want to die on. I don't want the game to die because everyone's grumpy about not being able to fly, so fine. All good. Couple more thoughts. One is, I really, going back to my very first follower dungeon, this was the Rookery, and I really liked how seamlessly the Rookery was mixed into the questing, the campaign quest. You do the things, and hey, here's a quest. I didn't even realize I was going to do a dungeon. That's how kind of subtle it was. Hey, here's a quest. You got to go do the thing. Go blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember what it was. And then I was like, oh, we're going into an instance. Except it wasn't queued or anything. It just said, oh yeah, hey, yeah, get in there. We'll come in with you.
Thank the Titans you are here. The Storm Purge has been breached and the Storm Riders corrupted.
And all of a sudden, I'm in a dungeon. I'm the only player, and I'm with a team of NPCs.
Hurry! If we free these Storm Rooks, we can fly there and try to end this madness.
And it's not the crew from Dragonflight. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll have those, those 4. Nope. All new crew. All of them are earthen. There was Meadworker Nadam, who's a fire mage. Freysworn Chelsea, a resto shaman who was doing the healing. Huntsman Crust with his 2 pet rams, Frey and Buck. And then there was Baelgrim, one of the, characters you've been working with. Baelgrim the Stone Ward. And he served as a shaman tank, which I know caught some people's attentions. Like, wait a minute, can we do that too, please? And it was really cool being in a story, going to do the questing, going to do the dungeon, a dungeon-sized task as part of the story with the people that I've been questing for or getting quests with or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, I've never felt more like this was story mode or single player mode, or, that this was just a single player game. It was so immersive. And sure, when I go back to the city, yeah, there's a lot of people running around. But at this point in the questing, I could just focus on those NPCs that I was questing with and doing the dungeon, and that was it. We were in a story. And I'm sad that didn't sort of replicate after, and I don't know if I did it wrong or if they just didn't link those things in the same way, because I didn't get dumped into other dungeons in that same way. And I think it worked. I think if there's a way to continue to do that, I think they should. I mean, the dungeons are the thing you work up to in each zone, right? Isn't that the point of a leveling dungeon? You do all these tasks, you get things ready, and oh man, all right, now we're ready to go take down that bad guy or make things right or do this other thing that you've been building towards. So let's do that in order, and let's do that every time. Like, does that get a little samey? Maybe, okay, but that's already in existence. Here's a zone, here's the leveling dungeon, here's a max level dungeon, here's another zone, let's do it again. That already exists. if you make it seamless and story-like, I don't think that is going to feel bad. I don't think it's going to feel bad at all. In fact, I would have loved to have found myself in 4-leveling dungeons with those NPCs without having to chase those down. And now, because I think I was probably a little too focused on quests, I do have to go back and get into the dungeons because they didn't put the big road marker saying, yep, next dungeon right here, do it now. So I think that could be a little bit better, steering me towards those dungeons now that there is something in the game where anybody can do a dungeon. You know, I feel like Dragonflight did a much better job of saying, hey, go do this dungeon. You're at the point in the story we have to do the dungeon. And, you know, at the launch of Dragonflight, there was no option for that. Couldn't go do, I mean, I think I still have 1, maybe 2 Dragonflight dungeons to do because they weren't available. Ruby Life Pools. Maybe I just did Ruby Life Pools that long ago as a follower dungeon, but I certainly did not do it for the first 1.5 years of Dragonflight. Even though it was very clear. Here's the dungeon quest. Go do it. Couldn't. I didn't have a group, and I didn't want a group. Well, now I don't need a group. You've done that work for me, Blizzard. That's fantastic. But now keep those heavy-duty those highway signs of dungeon next left, do it now. Keep that in there. Steer me in there. Steer me like I'm on those rails, that amusement park ride, even though we know at any time I can hop off those rails and I can go do what I want. So I don't think it limits anybody when you put in those heavy suggestions of, yep, now it's time to do the thing that we've been all working on. So more of that. That's my feedback there. I loved the Rookery. I loved how it smoothly fell into line. More, please. I get a couple quality of life things that occurred to me, and they're not big. And one of them, I'll start with this one, 2. One of them is related to the Rookery. I really liked the conversation quest after finishing the Rookery dungeon. All the leaders were gathered. They were trying to find a way to defeat the Nerubians, and they needed to talk it through. And it offered you options. If you clicked the option to follow the quest, then you listen to a conversation between Wembrant, the owner of the Cindermead Brewery, and Illyria, Baelgrum, the Council Ward, and Agalon. And you could just listen to those characters. So, optional quest, you click on it. It's kind of like a stay a while and listen, which, oh my God, those have been amazing too. I forgot to mention those. And you hear the story. They come up with a plan, and it feels very connected to the story, and the purpose of the dungeons is made very clear. It's not just, need more XP to get to the next level, or there's some sweet boots in that place, I gotta get there. No, the meadery, the Cindermead Brewery, meadery? Anyway, the reason to go there was made very clear. And as far as the story goes, and I appreciate that. But I also appreciate the developers putting in the option to skip that conversation. And it even worded it right. It was like, you're good, you're fine letting the leaders talk amongst themselves. And it was sort of like letting the player say, you guys figure it out, let me know where to go. I'll slash shit and beat it up for you, whatever, just tell me where to go. Other players want the story. And both of those options were offered in a very organic way, not in a immersion-breaking way. Not, I've already done this, I don't care. Like that always, it's fine, but it's just always funny. This was, no, you guys figure it out, or yeah, I want to be a part of that conversation. And the end result's the same, it's just one path gives you more story. Genius, love it, do it more. Yes. I can see that being useful in future playthroughs. You know, next time I go through, I may not need that conversation. I may just be there to do the dungeon, and that is there for me. So yeah, I mean, I don't understand the people not wanting to follow the story, but people do that, and so this is Blizzard honoring that path for people, but in a way that doesn't take away from anybody else's playstyle. And I feel like that's the key to WoW's success, is offer all of these different ways to play, but don't hurt other people's ways to play. Those things shouldn't come at the expense of somebody else's way to play. So I can get the story, and someone else can not get the story, and nobody misses out there. Nobody loses. Another quality of life thing I noticed in Dornegal, and this is stupid small, but it literally jumped out at me, and I thought I'd mention it. In the Dornegal campaign quest called Group Effort, you need to hand out orders to 10 workers around the entrance to the coreway. A bunch of dudes working, dudes, ladies, everyone chipping away, cleaning up. And you need to go pass out orders. And, of course, you know, there's kind of two ways to do this, to design this quest, right? You could put 15 workers randomly spaced out, and the player has to go click 10 of them. Or you do something a little more natural. Yeah, there's, you know, a couple singletons, but there's a bunch of pairs and trios of workers standing around. And I walked up to a group of 3, ready to, you know, click the same thing 3 times in an inane sort of way, because whatever, not even thinking about it. And a funny thing happened. It was the smallest little thing, but I was so happy when I approached the group of 3 workers and I clicked on the first one to hand him orders. All 3 of them received the orders at the same time. That's it. In our past WoW lives, we would have had to click on all of them individually. And that is such a tiny time saver that it doesn't really mean a lot. Like, it probably saved me 8 seconds, altogether, maybe 10. But it made a big deal. It like, hey guys, here's some pamphlets. Not, here's your pamphlet. Here's your pamphlet. I don't know. Again, smallest thing, but whatever unknown developer had the idea to simplify that and to code the game in a way that I could target everybody in that area to get the same treatment as the target person. Thank you. That was awesome. That just, again, felt more immersive. It kept me in, less clicking, less non-real life things. That felt more immersive. So I appreciate that. If anyone out there is listening, I appreciate it. For the raid of the month this month, I was hoping to pick something that would get me a little bit of information about the big bad in the war within, Xal'atath. Having never done any raiding as current content, I was looking back into BFA for interactions with Xal'atath that I never saw, to fill out that backstory and maybe get some transmog or something along the way. After poking around and, frankly, not finding a lot of details, I settled on jumping into the Crucible of Storms in Stormsong Valley. In my research, I found that there's clearly a Xal'atath interaction in Crucible, and I assumed it was the one where Xal'atath escapes the control of N'Zoth in a cutscene. Looking back in the Adventurer's Guide, I noticed that it was only a 2-boss raid, and sadly, it had no mounts on offer. Those are both strikes against a raid for me, but I wanted to mine this raid for its story bits, only 5 or so years after it happened. So here are snippets of my very poor playthrough. Don't judge. Not the whole thing, because that would be some pretty boring audio, even with only 2 bosses. It does run about 10 minutes, a pinch over 10 minutes, so if you want to just get to the final segment, you certainly can do that. But here we go. Okay, into the Crucible of Storms we go.
The scent of mortal filth defiles this chamber. They are insolent, unworthy of his gift. He has awakened, and they shall slumber in his stead. Let their flesh become an offering of atonement.
Okay, I think we've been sufficiently warned by Zaxaj the Speaker and Fathul the Feared. So let's see if they can back up their threats with me. Ah. So level 50 plus mobs, and I am currently an item 568. Feral Druid. Level 80. You know, not completely kitted out. My weapon is a 584, but, you know, it took a few swipes to kill those things. And, okay, now I'm doing a raid, and I have no idea where I'm going. Looks like we're hopping in the water, so here we go. Swim around for a minute, make it worth my while. That doesn't do anything. All right, let's just start attacking people, I guess.
Embrace the master's truth.
They're not really hurting me. My damage is relatively low, but oh, now I'm frozen or something. Oh, here we go. Stack high. I don't even know what that means. Uh-oh. I died.
And the world is his to claim.
Aw. So, apparently, mechanics are still a thing. I guess you have to still know how to play the game. Which, you know, not my strength.
Your dreams will echo. You are but
Alright, one of them's dead. Now I just have to kill Fathul, the Feared. I assume dodge these purple things everywhere. Oh, the other guy's alive again. That's cool. Okay, so he's dead. Yeah, where's the other one?
4, 3.
There we go. Okay, so I was dancing in a way I've never seen a night elf dance before. And then I saw the loot, but it disappeared into the cutscene, and I danced, and then I got hit in the head with a rock, which looked very strange. But luckily, both the dead bodies are down here.
These
Shockwave.
mortals desecrate your shrine, master. Let us drown them and wash away their defiance.
3 objects in front of me. The Void Stone, Tried at the Deep Ocean, Tempest Collar. Did I do anything?
Shockwave. Shockwave.
Miss Oth, talking to me.
Let it be as you
Alright,
command.
let's just do it.
They will serve bow before your true master.
Spread.
Spread? I'm a group of 1.
Move to diamond.
What?
Phase change.
I ignore diamonds. I don't care.
The stars!
5, 4, 3, 2,
I should probably go get a diamond. Now I'm feared and I'm running into
phase
Lord
change.
knows where. Big ad. I want a big ad.
Almighty Nazar.
Spread.
Move away from others. Got it.
Move to square.
Square.
Stop attacking.
Stop attacking? How did I do that?
began.
There we go. 6.1, 5, 4, 3, 2. Oh, this looks bad. All sorts of beams of craziness going on, but 2 minutes, 20 seconds. Good enough. There we go.
She will show you the way. The hour approaches when all eyes.
Oh, so there's Xal'atath, the Blade of the Black Empire, with a little quest thing above it. The missing blade, the echo of the blade of Xal'atath, lingers before you. Though the consciousness that resided within the dagger is gone, the place it once occupied still resonates with power. You sense the weapon now speaks another voice, another purpose. You feel compelled to warn the king that the blade may now reside in the hands of the enemy. Inform King Anduin about the absence of Xal'atath. Okay. Now I can touch it. I've accepted the quest. Let's see what happens.
I alone can save you from what is to come.
I alone can save you. Great. Now we're bringing politics into this. So it says I can touch the blade, but I'm not able to touch it. And I'm not seeing Xal'atath. Now I feel a little bit ripped off. So the gear that it is given is mostly 270. The BOEs are 242. Obviously completely useless to me. But I did get the staff, actually the 2 staves that I was looking for. I saw on the loot table. They looked kind of neat. I got all the leather appearances that I needed. And I expanded it out to all classes. And really, there's only 3 more appearances in the whole... Nope, sorry, 4 more appearances that I need to get. Not bad after one visit. So with both bosses down... I don't know. Maybe I'll make another trip through here just to grab 2 plate appearances, 2 mail appearances, and a cloth. Okay, so 5. Yeah, you know. Well, veiled references to Xal'atath, the weapon itself, but no real information, and I didn't get to see the cutscene. So I feel a little bit ripped off here, having not seen the thing I came to see. Huh. As far as loot, I gained about 320 gold for selling the epics that I grabbed. I got 2 BOEs that, a shield and a one-handed mace. Both at level 242. Not exactly gonna make me a pretty penny on the auction house, so there's no good monetary reason to do it either. Well, the jury has deliberated, and yeah, the Crucible of Storms. This is a first raid of the month, but Crucible of Storms is not a recommended farming raid. It only has 2 bosses. It has limited loot. Of course, if there's stuff you're interested in, you're going to want to head out there to get it. So check the tier sets for the class or the armor type that you want to see if there's anything you want or need from here. But really, other than, I guess, doing it once to get the achievement and say you've been there, there's no real reason to fly all the way out to the Shrine of Storms every week out in Stormsong Valley to run this raid. So no, and who knows, maybe I've done it for you. All right, we're getting close to the end of this, and I think I want to say one more little topic, one more little bit of feedback. And that's something I've kind of refrained from commenting on before, and that is the trading post. Can I give you my opinion on the trading post just once? I don't want to do it every month. I don't want to get into this. I really don't feel like this feature deserves as much energy as it gets from some content creators, but really mostly players. Like the amount of complaining and oh my god, the feedback and the hatred and the vitriol. Oh my god, it is so tiresome. First, I have a whole bunch of points. I've bulleted them. First bullet is, it's free. The trading post is free every month. Every month. You play the game. If you play enough, you get a bunch of currency and you can spend the currency. But it's free. You really don't have to do anything extra. Maybe in the beginning, maybe a year ago when this started, they hadn't quite tuned essentially the ramp for the currency well. And sometimes, if you weren't playing much and you weren't doing the right things, yeah, you'd have to run around and do some specific stuff. But the next point is kind of related. It is easy to fill the bar. It is easy to get to the 1,000 points that you need to get the currency, the max currency. So they give you 500 for free every month. And then if you fill up that bar of activities, you get 500 more tenders. Some months I think they gave us 1,000 tenders just cause, I think. I don't know. So it's easy to fill. As I said, I have barely played. I did a lot of leveling before September 1st. And then, from September 1st till now, yes, I gained 6 more levels, got from 74 to 80, but I did not do a lot outside of that. And I absolutely filled that bar. In fact, I even wrote in my notes, oh, I will fill the bar this month. And then I actually got in game. I was like, oh, never mind. I already have it filled. Just play the game. Point number 3, it's free. It's still free. It's not something you pay for. Point number 4, it's only cosmetics. It is things that will make you look pretty in the game. There's no power. There is, unless you literally have no mounts in your account, there is no functionality that you can buy. There are cosmetics. There are sets of cosmetics. There are a few toys. Toys tend to be fun. They don't tend to have much function. A few have function, but not many of them. There's nothing to do with heirlooms. There's nothing to do with any powered gear. There's no gear that has powerful effects, like rings, trinkets, necks. It's cosmetic. So no one's gaining anything. Blizzard does not owe you enough tenders each month so that you can buy out the list. It's not that kind of system. This is not the frustration of people who can't buy everything. On a level, I understand it. On one level, I do understand. Like, some people want all the things, and I get that on a level. But this isn't that system. It's free, which is also my next bullet point. It's free. Again, I just want to remind people of that. So on a free system, it doesn't owe you everything. It doesn't say, hey, play a little bit of the game and we'll give you everything on the list, period. It's just not set up that way. So don't be frustrated by that. And I think it's worth noting that this isn't just some, this isn't some secondhand shop where oh, we've got all these extra cloaks no one's buying in the online store, or it's all this extra stuff that we made, or it's not. It's new stuff. So it takes extra dev time and work and energy to create these, a lot of these sets or these items, or in some cases the mounts, the pets, like all of these things. I should say most of these things are new items that are new assets that Blizzard has made. So why are they doing it? Well, not directly to make money, because, as I've mentioned, this feature is free. So really, it's there to generate interest and excitement. Like, hey, if you play the game, you're gonna get some free stuff every month. Oh, cool. Oh, well, that's more bang for my buck. So, that's extra work and time and energy that Blizzard is putting into the game, and they're not charging for it. They're not paying for that extra through sales of these items. So, yeah. I feel like I'm apologizing for the big rich company that, of course, could afford to do this, but I'm really not. My whole point is, can't there just be some things that we appreciate out of the goodwill and the whimsy that they are? Like, this is meant to be fun. Now, funny little secret, I can't stand most of the stuff that comes on the trading post. At least the clothes. Like, I think most of the clothes and the capes and the sarongs and all of these strange things that we've been getting look absolutely stupid, and they do not fit into my vision of the Warcraft fantasy world. I don't know. There's so many things in there that I think, nope, that's not what I think people in Warcraft are wearing. I think they might look like Fortnite, but that's not me. But do I think they should not be on the trading post? I don't care. Yes, if people like it, and people clearly do. I listen to various podcasts where people get really excited about certain things, and I think, why? It looks stupid. But again, I don't want my playstyle to come at the expense of someone else's playstyle. And if a feature like the trading post can put in items that make people enjoy playing this game in the way that they play this game, in this case, usually it's how they dress their characters, great. If that keeps people subbed, that's more revenue that comes into Blizzard headquarters, now, of course, Microsoft. And that money is going to keep people employed, and it's going to keep WoW expansions coming out. And really, that's my goal. As much as this is a 20-year-old game and it feels like it'll go on forever, it won't. There will be a time, and I think a lot of us thought we were getting close to that time in the last couple of years, but alas, no longer feels like that. But hey, there will be a time when there's no more WoW expansions. Until then, I want that. I want more story. I want more creativity out of this team. I want more things in this universe. Think about the number of universes and fandoms that you might like, or even movies, even singleton movies or comics or whatever, where you're like, oh my God, I would pay my arm and a leg to get more in this little world that I've so enjoyed. And you never get it. And here, Warcraft, hey, if they keep people subbed, they're going to keep making content. And so if they have to sell brilliant yellow sarongs, not sell, because it's free, if they have to put those on the trading post for people to get for free just by playing the game, and that makes them happy, great, awesome, generate the excitement. I don't understand the vitriol. I don't understand the anger that the trading post causes people every single month. Still, we're 16 months in or something crazy like that, maybe more, maybe a year and a half into this. And people still get their dander up every time the trading post comes out. Oh, what's going to piss me off this month? Rah. My goodness. Life is way too short for that. So I'm going to close on go enjoy the trading post. Go look through the monthly stuff. And when there's a thing that you don't like, don't get it and move on. And if the whole world could take that advice all over the place in the real world, I think this would be a very different world. So maybe if everyone listened to this podcast and took my advice, everything would be good. Let's try that out. Until then, well, the world is what the world is. Well, it looks like we are way over our time in the queue this month. It's been a long run, and I'm really tired, and I'm really glad to have played enough to get into this episode and get some feedback to you. I look forward to getting a little more free time in the coming weeks. What am I doing next? Well, yeah, I'm not getting back into Azeroth to do anything. I've got to check a few more boxes, but when I do, I'm going to be finishing up the max level campaign and trying to get to the Earthen, because, you know, what does someone with 62 characters really think? They think, I still have 3 more character slots, and some of those are going to be Earthen, so that's my next big goal. All the sounds and music that you hear in this episode and are the work of the amazing people at Blizzard. Hashtag don't play muted, come on. And as always, it is my friends in the band Ogre playing the song Ogre. I think there's a show in November. I'm going to have to get the details. I'll give them to you in October's episode. So if you want to join me somewhere in Maine, I don't even know where the show's going to be, but you're going to come and we're going to catch up. All right. I got to thank everybody who made this episode possible. My lovely and supportive wife, who's watching me be very tired and stressed out and is still very supportive and lovely. The good folks at Podbean who are hosting Solo Q, and you listening right now, you matter. The downloads are adding up, and it is frankly fascinating to me, and I love it. So, hey, share this show however you do. Tell your friends, tell your raid group, tell your whatever. I appreciate it. If you want to support the show, even in the tiniest of meaningful monetary ways, we are on Patreon at SoloQWow. Patreon/SOLOQUEWEWOW. Thank you to my current patrons, Andrew, Righteous Bandy, and That Sky Guy. And in addition to those paying contributing members, there is a free level. So thank you also to Max and Eddie and Tim. Tim joined us in August, and I don't think I mentioned, I think he snuck in towards the end of when I was making the August episode. So welcome, Tim. Patrons get to usually get early access to the intros to the podcast, and they help just keep this thing going. So if you are able, so much appreciated. Otherwise, subscribe on your podcast feed of choice. Just click subscribe. We'll show up whenever I get around to getting this out to you. And hey, 5-star reviews on Apple and Spotify help. They help the show grow. This may sound crazy, but there was a point in the past month or so where on the Apple video game podcast list in the United States of America, this show cracked the top 50 for all video games. That is not 50 Warcraft podcasts. That is video game podcasts. And that was amazing. Really amazing. So thank you. If you are listening, man, thank you so much. You can always contact me, as mentioned, at Gmail or Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, possibly Blue Sky. All of them are SOLOQUEUEWOW. The Gmail is, of course, at gmail.com. Love to hear your questions. Join Josh. Send me an email. Let me know what your solo gameplay is like, and I will get reading more of those on the air. Hey, good luck with whatever it is you're up to. If you've been in the story mode, let me know. I will get there and into a bunch of delves and a whole bunch of stuff, because, man, when I stop IRLing, I'm going to hit this game hard, and I cannot wait. So we will talk about all of it in the October episode the next time we hop into the solo queue. I will see you out there. No.